So let me get Doug introduced here. So Doug is the GM of the Sprint Accelerator down in the Crossroads District. It's roughly a 20,000 square foot meeting space. It's got community workspace, so pretty much anyone that I think has a pulse as a requirement can show up down there, log in, and use some of that space. Is that still right?
Yeah, you're stealing a lot of my thunder, but yeah.
Okay, I'm going to shut up about that. Okay, so Doug works with TECHSTARS to bring different corporations together to accelerate the growth of technology and startup companies. Is responsible for managing Sprint's partnerships with entrepreneurial organizations such as Up Global, Silicon Prairie News, and Dream Big America. Doug began his nearly 10-year career at Sprint on the corporate events team and was responsible for planning internal business meetings as well as customer events. Doug graduated from the University of Missouri with a bachelor's degree in broadcast journalism. Follow him on Twitter at @DRessler for all things food, music, entrepreneurship, and fatherhood. So if you follow any of us on Twitter, we're going to give you some good variety here. You can also follow him at Sprint Excel for the latest events and news for the Sprint Accelerator. So with that, I'll turn it over to Doug.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Oh, come on. Seriously, I know I'm in between lunch, but good morning, everybody. Good morning. Usually, I'm the guy that speaks right before the bar opens, so this is a little bit better. It's, sandwiches or whatever it may be, it's a little easier. I'm very excited to be here to talk to you this morning. What we're doing at the Sprint Accelerator is new, and we're changing every day, and we're very excited about the program. I always like to start with a question. Besides Deb and Greg, have you got anybody here been at the Sprint Accelerator? 1, 2, 3, 4? Oh, great. For those of you who haven't been, please accept this as an open invitation to come down and tour the facility. I'll leave my card, and you guys can just shoot me an email and call me. It's fun and it's exciting to talk about, but it's really cool to come down and to see the space. So many of you know probably that Kansas City has a very strong entrepreneurial and startup history, a very strong background in people who have created startups that have turned into large corporations. This slide shows a lot of those people that are well known in our area who have done a lot of great things. And because there is an actual woman on the slide, I have a very attractive KC/Sprint Accelerator hat to anybody who can tell me who that woman is. Yes?
Is that Nellie Dawn?
That is Nellie Dawn. Congratulations. This hat is now yours to wear with pride.
Oh, I will. My most
Yeah, the film is very interesting.
I want to see it.
Yeah, it's the guy that made the film actually came down and he brought us a bunch of different items from her life and different magazine articles. For those of you who don't know Nellie Dawn, she created about she was able to manufacture 75 million dresses in Kansas City between 1918 and 1975, larger than anybody on either coast. Largest dress manufacturer based right here in Kansas City in the entire 20th century. So obviously, we've got Ewing Kauffman and J.C. Hall and Henry Block. Some of our newer entrepreneurs, Stanley Durwood up in the corner from AMC, Danny O'Neill, Roastery Coffee, and then of course John McDonald, Boulevard Beer. We all love him, right? So many of you may not know is that Sprint actually was a startup. I mean, it was 1899, but our founder, Clayson Brown, tragically lost his arm in his father's mill, and he realized that he wasn't going to be able to use his hands. He was going to have to use his brain to sort of make his way in the world. And so in Abilene, Kansas in 1899, he started the Brown Telephone Company. That's one of their first polls. You see his team up there putting that together. He took on Ma Bell and everything. And many decades later, and transitions and acquisitions, the Brown Telephone Company is now what is today Sprint. And so when we were looking at innovation and entrepreneurship in Kansas City, we realized that Sprint needs to kind of get back to that way of thinking. How do we become thinkers like entrepreneurs? How do we do things faster? And so to do that, we created the Sprint Accelerator space. Like they were saying, 20,000 square feet of space in the Crossroad Arts District, a district in Kansas City that is so exciting right now. The largest collection of art galleries, design studios, video design, and technical startups. And so we decided we didn't need to be on campus anymore. We needed to be somewhere where we could access those types of companies and resources. But we're more than just a building. This is a program that just is based in this building. And so the idea was we needed to sort of revitalize the growth of the tech scene in Kansas City. We needed to make this the most entrepreneurial city in America, and there's a great program right now that's shooting to do that. So we did three things in the building. So we have the three main areas. We have the community workspace, as he mentioned. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. Any of you can come and work there. There's free Wi-Fi. There's great seats. There's whiteboards. There's monitors. And we're seeing a lot of people use it for entrepreneurs, especially for meetings. So, they may be working out of their home. They may not have large office space, so they'll set up meetings down there. There's a conference room. We have about 16,000 square feet of writable space in the entire building. So you can write on the walls, you can write on the tables, there are walls that roll, you can write on those, you can write on back of TVs. There are a few tables you can't write on, and I always have to remind myself because I'll sit down and I'll start to, nope, can't write on that. You can't write on the ping pong table either, but there's plenty of spaces for you to do that. Next to the community space, we have what we call our co-working space. That's where the Sprint employees that are based there, myself and 2 others, have desks. We have our partners who are there, Up Global, which was the merger of Startup America and Startup Weekend. Silicon Prairie News, is anyone familiar with Silicon Prairie News? Very good, thank you. They're the online media source for entrepreneurship in the Midwest, so I really recommend you go check them out. They're based out of that office. And 2 of our 10 companies that participated in our first mobile health accelerator program have moved to Kansas City, and they are based out of our co-working space, as well as other partners like Hallmark rents 2 desks from us, Black Ops Dev Group rents space from us, and Pipeline Entrepreneur. So that's our co-working space. On the second floor, we have our Tech Accelerator event space. This is where all the big space is, the game room and the big presentation area. Today we have a education symposium going on, about 90 people in there trying to brainstorm over new ideas to how to educate your children. 3 months out of the year, it's our Tech Accelerator program, and then 9 months out of the year, we fill it with programming like that. We've had everyone in there from the National League of Cities to our own city Chamber of Commerce to internal events. Our former CEO had all 110 of his VPs in there for a leadership meeting shortly after we opened. So exactly why would Sprint do something like this? What is the benefit? How do we show a return on investment for putting this building type together? Well, obviously there's the business development and innovation standpoint. This allows us to see down the field. We all have cell phones, right? We all have them in our pockets, and hopefully some of you are on Sprint. I apologize for our mess right now. We're working on it. We're going to get there. But it allows us to see what the products and services are down the road that we can bring to our customers that someone else may not have. It's also a great way to retain and recruit new talent to Sprint. Although we love to have new talent, and especially new IT talent at Sprint, our purpose is to bring talent to Kansas City. Whether they land at Sprint, or they land at Cerner, or they land at these hospitals, we don't care, as long as they're coming to Kansas City and bringing their talent with them. Many of you may not know, but Sprint has a very strong track record in corporate social responsibility, from donating to Boys and Girls Club and United Way to hundreds of our employees volunteering on a daily basis for Habitat for Humanity and different organizations such as that. What we decided to do is take that corporate social responsibility and take it from the inside of Sprint and move it out from a different standpoint, and instead of volunteering your hard work and time, volunteering your talent. So we created the Sprint Mentor Network. We're on our second round now. We have over 20 Sprint VPs who we've paired up with startup co-founders and founders. And they meet on a regular basis. They dedicate so much amount of time at the accelerator to share ideas, to share their expertise in whether it may be HR, IT, design, coding, logistics. I mean, we move a lot of product. We have experts on how to get phones in hundreds and hundreds of stores, and our startups need that information. But what we're finding is the founders are teaching our VPs a lot of things. And they're going back to their employees and saying, oh, let's break down these walls. Let's sit around a table. Let's brainstorm some stuff and get things moving a lot faster. So it's working both ways, which is the third thing that we created the program around, which is culture. We needed to change internally how Sprint employees were thinking. We are doing all different kinds of programming, but one of the things that's been most successful is what we call Startup Sprint. Is anybody familiar with Startup Weekend? One person, two people. For those of you who don't know, Startup Weekend is essentially a 3-day event where people come together and people pitch ideas for a business. They get 60 seconds. They come up here. They say, hey, I've got this idea, and it's going to do this, and here's what I need. And they spend the next 3 days forming teams and building that business. And then on Sunday night, they present that idea, and they pick winners and prizes. A lot of those companies go on to become actual businesses. Some of the Kansas City Startup Weekend companies are in business now. We did that internally with Sprint employees. We've done it twice now. We bring in Sprint employees. They spend 3 days building ideas. They do not have to be Sprint-based. They can be Sprint-based if they want to be. A lot of them are, because that's what people know. But they can bring any idea what they want. I mean, we had a woman pitch an idea for tracking pinballs, antique pinball machines in Kansas City so people could go play antique pinball machines. But the successful part of this is both programs have produced companies that are doing something. So the first two winners in our first program in February are actual businesses. The top winner was an app called PhotoSifter. For you Android users, if you want to go onto the Google Play Store and look at PhotoSifter, you can download it today. It sifts your photos on your lock screen, so when you're bored sitting in line at the DMV or Price Chopper, you can go through and sort of organize your photos. It's in business, and they're getting ready to sell a version of that to Tokyo and get on the iOS market. The winning company of this second round is actually going to Tokyo to speak to SoftBank, our Japanese partners, and they have an innovation program that they use internally called InnoVenture, and the top 5 companies that win get Masa-san writes checks, and that's their new job, is to build that business. So that's how we're changing the culture within Sprint and giving them opportunities to do that thing. Most of you probably know, those of you familiar with Sprint Accelerator, that our biggest flagship program is our Mobile Health Accelerator program that's powered by TECHSTARS. So how does it work? We have people apply through our system. We select 10 companies. They move to Kansas City for 3 months, and we give them $120,000 in seed funding in exchange for equity in their companies. This first program that just ended in June, we had 350 plus applications, and we weeded those down. They moved here, we gave them their seed funding, and then they worked with our resources within Sprint, and with the TECHSTARS resources to accelerate their business over that 90-day period. Our 2015 application period is open right now, so if you guys know anyone that would be interested, please send them to our website, and we'll close applications in December and bring 10 new teams in March of next year. So, a lot of people say, why TECHSTARS? Why is it important that we partner with TECHSTARS? TECHSTARS, is everybody familiar with TECHSTARS? TECHSTARS is an accelerator company based out of Boulder, Colorado. They have 14 locations, including 2 in London. And they're accelerator programs that they bring in companies to accelerate their business. The Powered by TECHSTARS is what we're a part of. That's where they work with corporations. Corporations like Nike, Disney, RGA. The other TECHSTARS are city-based TECHSTARS, so it's an Austin TECHSTARS, and they bring in all types of companies. There's no focus. There's no vertical focus. Almost 90% of first-time startups fail. Even return entrepreneurs, 70% of those are failing. Now, if you're familiar with the startup communities and entrepreneurship, failing is good. A lot of times it takes you to that next level of where you should have been to begin with. But it's not a very good success rate. That changes when a company goes through the TECHSTARS program. 90% of companies that go through TECHSTARS are either still active or have been acquired. And a company that goes through receives, on average, more than $1.8 million in funding due to their large investor network that they have. So why do we choose mobile health? I don't have to tell you guys. I mean, I need to fix this number because it's hard to read. My font was made on a Mac, and it's a little hard to read. But that's a 4-year-old number. That's $2.6 trillion that was spent 4 years ago. And it's all becoming mobile. You guys, you know this. We're all tracking our steps, our water intake, our vitamins, our calories. Everything is becoming trackable on mobile. And so what we're trying to do is to find that application, that hardware, that device that's going to cause a disruption in mobile health and hopefully eventually help control some of the healthcare costs that we're seeing. Why Kansas City? Well, we talked about a little bit at the beginning, entrepreneurial resources. Not only do we have some very strong business leaders here, but we have the Kauffman Foundation. The Kauffman Foundation is the worldwide leader in entrepreneurial research and education, and it's in our back door, at our backyard. Kind of our back door. We can walk there. We're close. We also have technology resources, whether it's resources within Sprint or great hospitals and universities, or Cerner, or DST, or Garmin, or H&R Block. There are technological resources in this city that you can't really beat. We also have a very large life sciences corridor through Kansas City with the Stowers Institute, KU Med, the universities around us, MU and K-State are also very heavily involved in our program. We're able to provide these resources to our teams that come through that they can't necessarily get in other parts of the country as easily. And what we found with our last program is that Kansas City is the pet health corridor of our nation. We had one company come through the last 10 that's involved with pet health. They're one of the companies that moved here because they realized they could get in their car and drive to all the top pet pharma companies and all the pet food producing companies within 20 minutes. They're from Italy, they were living in New York, and now they live in Kansas City and they couldn't be happier. So those resources are why we stayed here in Kansas City instead of picking another city in the United States. Here are the 10 companies that went through our first round. I have a little video I want to show you that will explain each of these companies, but we didn't take any company from Kansas City area. None of the companies were quite ready for our program. So we have a large variety of companies from all over the world. Olo Mobile is from Australia. I mentioned Fitbark, that's our dog company. They're from Italy. Yasko's from Belgium. So, I mean, there's all kinds of reach that we're getting with this program. And what I'd like to show you is the video we showed at our demo day in June 4th. We had the largest TECHSTARS demo day in the history of their program. We did it at the Kaufman Performing Arts Center. We had nearly 1,700 people in attendance, and all 10 of these teams presented. I won't show you the presentations, but I'd like to show you a little bit about the history of the program here.
At Sprint, we put technology to work by creating practical applications for mobile health. Teaming with TECHSTARS, a mentorship-driven startup accelerator program, we created the Sprint Mobile Health Accelerator. The program was designed to put startups on the fast track, fueling their passion and helping bring their ideas to life. We selected 10 companies to relocate to Kansas City and participate in this 3-month intensive program and gave them access to resources, funding, and expert mentors within Sprint, the Kansas City business and healthcare community, and TECHSTARS' extensive mentor network.
It's been awesome. It's been crazy fun. Like, I can't believe that we're only 2 days and it feels like we've been here for a long time already.
The collaboration that's already starting to happen between some of these startups, I think, is really inspiring.
These are the 10 companies selected from hundreds of applicants. Akiba, the world's first glucose meter built into a custom smartphone case. Fitbark, an activity tracker for dogs to redefine the way pet owners know their pups. Lifeline Response, a personal safety app that uses natural human reaction to alert authorities in the event of an attack. Medicast, Doctors on Demand, a smartphone app that delivers doctors to home, office, or hotel within 2 hours. Olo Mobile, a wearable device that monitors the health and well-being of seniors and fosters better connected families. Prime, a smartphone app that instantly and automatically aggregates health records from any doctor. SickWeather, a platform that mines social data to provide sickness forecasting and mapping. Symptomly, a symptom tracking platform for insurers, doctors, and patients that significantly reduces hospital readmissions. Tenacity increases employee productivity and decreases employer costs by incentivizing healthy habits in the workplace. Yosco, a physician communications platform that streamlines clinician handoffs and increases patient safety.
It's been very intense, but very good for us.
We tend to try to move as fast as we possibly can because for us, like, every minute counts.
Feedback is a gift. The most important thing you can do with feedback is just take the feedback and then think about it. As long as you're thinking about it, you're going to be able to work it out.
Today, we are proud to share these 10 amazing companies with successful entrepreneurs and business leaders from around the country, along with regional healthcare, business and community leaders, and the media.
We've really come a long way in the program, just coming from an idea and just like a 3D printed concept that had no functionality to something that works end to end.
The Sprint Mobile Health Accelerator, powered by TECHSTARS, is fueling the mobile health revolution.
So that's our first round. Just a couple updates on some of those companies. They're all still in business. As I mentioned, 2 are located in Kansas City. SickWeather, is anybody familiar with SickWeather? They're getting a lot of press these days, unfortunately because of Ebola. But SickWeather is essentially a Doppler radar system for tracking illnesses across the country. It's a hypochondriac's nightmare. You can get into this system and put your address and see that the guy on the corner registered that he had the flu today. They're mining through this patent-pending algorithm system. They're mining social media data, and you can literally watch this illnesses, go across the country. They're able to get information out up to 4 to 6 weeks faster than the CDC is getting it. So there was a big article about them in the Washington Post recently, and they're about ready to secure some more funding. Fitbark has their product ready. My dog is currently asleep wearing a Fitbark right now, so I'm sure he's not getting the activity points he needs. But I do feel guilty if I don't walk him because I know they're looking at the data going, God, Doug's dog's lazy. And then, of course, Olo Mobile, the Australian company, they're in the process of getting their product. They're an interesting company because they started out with a device that sort of hung on a senior's neck like a necklace. But they ended up with a really streamlined necklace-looking device that kind of comes around the neck here, and they actually made it a phone. Before it was just a detector. Now you can actually touch it and it makes a call, it tracks different symptoms, and obviously tracks when you fall as well. And Akiba, the glucometer for your phone case, he was right. They came in there with a 3D printed idea, and when they left, they were actually able to use the phone case to prick the finger, test the results, and send them to your doctor. Now they're just waiting on the wonderful FDA to let them start selling. So they should be in market first part of the year. So who should apply for the next program? Anybody who has an idea or solution that is mobile-based and health-based. I know that sounds like a wide net, but that's on purpose. It could be wearables, it could be hardware, it could be an app, it could be a device that uses a mobile network. Tenacity is a company that goes into large corporations and tracks employees' health. Not necessarily mobile, but there's a mobile aspect to it because the employees use the mobile part of it to track their points and to get motivation from their counselors. So if you know anyone, please send them to our website, and please go visit our website at sprintaccelerator.com and see more pictures of the space, learn a little bit more about what we're doing. There's an open calendar there that shows you the public events we're hosting that you're welcome to attend. And if you need to, if you want to use the space for some of your meetings or get your team out of the space, your spaces, please feel free to come see us. That's all I have. I would love to answer any questions you may have about the program or things that I may have said that didn't make any sense, which is very likely. I'm not all that bright. Yes?
So just 3 months out of the year that you have this mobile health accelerator stuff. The 9 months of the year, it's just pretty wide open to whatever then?
Right.
Or you have other
Yeah, it's
educational conferences?
right. It's not necessarily whatever. I mean, we don't have karaoke, but we could. If we're not opposed to it. But yeah, it's most of the stuff during the day we'll have conferences like this. Last week we had, who was in last week? Oh, we had Kansas legislators in there learning about the latest technology, which some of them needed, so they pulled out their flip phones and they wanted to know how to spell Twitter. But, and then in the evenings we do a lot of meetup events or networking events. So there'll be like a one speaker and then there'll be a networking event where people can go around and meet people. But yes, the TECHSTARS program is March to June each year, 90 days, and the second floor space is pretty much closed down. We had about 50 people in there, 10 companies living pretty much day and night there, working on and so it's kind of, we can't really do anything in that space. But we have other availability too during that time, so. STEAM, adding the A to the STEM. Yeah, we're trying. Well, we're starting basically, so in our community space, we highlight a local Crossroads artist every quarter. We host First Friday events for local artists. We're trying to figure out how we can we have a basement space that needs a lot of work, but we're trying to figure out how we can maybe create some studios in there. We do bring a lot of the studio owners in to talk to the teams, to talk about creativity and how they're using technology for that. Does anybody know Stan Hurd? Yeah, he created the crop art, those big crop art pieces you see around the world. He was in our space last week and showing all these beautiful things of just acres and acres of artwork. And the first question is, how has GPS affected you? And what app are you using to track it? And he didn't even have a web page. He's still using flags and rope, and he brings out a 1-inch thumb nail of his thing, and he takes a little tape measure, and he's like, yeah, that should go right there. And he pounds a flag in, and he runs, and then he gets on his tractor, and he plows it. He has no idea how any of that other stuff works. There are drone companies that are trying to sell him, So we try to get that incorporated as well. And since we've had them so many around, and obviously the video editor companies that are just all surrounding us, they helped us with presentations and editing and things like that too. So. We haven't had any veteran programs in. Definitely would be welcome to hear ideas. I mean, like I said, it's a space for the community to use, and so we're not really charging rent to people like this or groups that are using it for that. If somebody like Cerner wants to have a party, we might charge some rent, but be very excited to have a veterans program in there. One of the Kansas legislators that was there last week, she's really wanting me to do a senior training on technology event. And I think it would be wonderful, and maybe we could do something with veterans in that vein as well. Any other questions? Yes?
Do you ever do anything with smart cities? I know I'm doing something called smart cities.
Mm-hmm. The program Smart City, or what Kansas City's doing with Cisco?
No, this is IBM had theirs. I was in New York for a smart cities conference. I was another company, someone asked me to collaborate on. And it's a way, just in the same venue, it's a way to take an idea, a very highly
We haven't done specifically with smart cities, but we have done that with both internal and external programs. So internally, we have what we call a Hack Friday, and so a business unit will bring in a problem, and they will create things that they, and essentially the idea is to create. And then we had the National League of Cities in, and so they were chambers from all over the country, and they were doing that. They were brainstorming on how they can, take ideas to market for their cities, but we haven't done specifically with that program, but we've had a lot of programs that come in to do that. The space really allows for that sort of collision of ideas. It's wide open, and then all the tables are right there, and so you can propose a problem, and then teams just go crazy and create a bunch of stuff that they didn't realize they knew how to create. But yeah, if you have a contact, I'd love to try to get them in. Any other questions? Please come see us. We're down the crossroads. Don't be afraid. There's plenty of parking. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much, Doug. Appreciate it.